So what is international banking? In this topic, we'll be covering an introduction to the international banking, features of international banking, and risks involved in international banking.
सुनो छोड़ सुना मोबाइल छोड़ दो
And then, what is actually international banking? When you conduct transactions across the national and political boundaries, then we call it as international banking. Otherwise, when you borrow from a bank located outside your geographical and political boundaries when, of your country of residence, then we call it as that particular borrowing or that banking activity is called as international banking. Or when you place a deposit or source a loan from a country bank which is located in a foreign land while residing in some other country, then we call it as international banking. I'm sorry. Otherwise, I'm sorry. Yeah. Otherwise, if you borrow in a country currency other than the domestic currency of the land of the currency in which you are located is called as international banking. This is what we discussed when we spoke about international banking. Features of international banking activities were tax efficiency. You could save on the tax in case you place a deposit in a tax-free country. And then there is convenience and greater flexibility, like you get a different uh, investment avenue, or you also get a different way to place your deposit because you're converting your assets into a different currency. And then your lending and your borrowing can be in a currency other than the domestic currency. Somebody says for a, say an exporter, I want all your payments in dollar. You can always source a loan in dollar, right? And then pay his payables. That is what we say. Uh, it gives you convenience when you're going to be lending or borrowing in a different currency. It is easier to source loan. And if you want to invest in an overseas project, then also you can source a loan. It is easier for you to invest. And then it gives you easy transfers because, as I told you yesterday, physical money does not move between countries. It is only the electronic entries that move between countries, and therefore it saves a lot of time, and it is also low. It also has lower exchange risk. We did not discuss this part of lower exchange risk. I said I will talk about it when we talk about foreign exchange, but just to give you an insight of what it is, we say that when you convert one currency to another, say after 2 3 days, what will happen? Rates may go up and down, where you are exposed to a risk. Instead of doing that, can I, if in case I want to convert it on a real time basis, जब मैं करती हूँ, the exchange rates are more or less predictable, right? So I can see them, and जो rate मुझे feasible रहता है, वो rate में मैं convert कर लेती हूँ. Yeah. Now, when we talk about the factors contributing to the evolution of international banking, but before that, yesterday when we spoke about factors contributing to the origination of international banking, where Europeans held their assets in dollar-dominated financial instruments. So what they had to do, they had all their earnings in dollars, and therefore they had to find a bank which would accept these dollar denominated assets. And at that time, banks in London were accepting these deposits. Therefore, the term international banking also originated along with the term of euro dollar, right? Euro dollar matlab eurozone में आपने deposit रखा, but they were dollar denominated assets. Later on, this term of euro dollar was used for every single deposit in a currency other than the domestic currency of the land where it is used as currency. The particular currency of your deposit is used as deposit. Or otherwise, if you source a loan, like for example, In case I deposit UK pounds in US dollar, then also it is called as a euro dollar deposit. And in case I source a loan in UK pounds from India, then also it is called as a euro loan. So this term and these euro currency things we will be discussing in depth when we see the chapter, when we come to it. As of now, euro dollar term was coined then, and international banking also originated along with that. And then we spoke about what was the factors that contributed to the evolution of international banking. The first factor was effects of World War II. We said that World War II had devastated all the economies, and all the international economic activities had completely come to a halt. Even domestic economies were trying to survive kind of. And therefore what had happened was post war period was a very difficult phase which was faced by all the economies. And therefore the post-war period had the sole objective was reconstructing all the economies and then putting them back into international trade. So we said, and apart from that, there was also one more factor which led to the evolution of international banking was collapse of Bretton Woods system. What was this? USA, with the motive of reconstructing all the other economies which were devastated, because US and USSR economies were less devastated as compared to other economies. So with the motive of reconstructing all other economies, they called for a conference at a place called Bretton Woods in New Hampshire in USA. And 44 countries were signing an agreement, and the terms of the agreement were said that it said that all transactions would take place in dollars, US dollar. Local currencies be pegged to US dollars, and then US dollars would be convertible to gold at a parity of US dollar 35 equal to 1 ounce of gold, which is 28.35 grams. These were the agreements that were given. So any country which has $35 will be redeemed for 1 ounce of gold. That was the understanding. So why was gold preferred? Gold was a universally accepted commodity. It was a precious commodity. It was also a scarce commodity. And therefore, as a result of the conference, two supranational institutions came up, namely IMF, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank. And these were also called as Bretton Woods. So following this agreement which was signed, US was supposed to be maintaining adequate gold reserves. The system failed because of the following reasons. What were the reasons we mentioned yesterday was, we said that when the system is in operation, people started speculating in dollars. Yesterday I told you how they had pegged it to local currencies and started accumulating dollars and then reselling it at a higher price, number one. Secondly, they started demanding dollars more. Demand for dollars went up, and US, without having a gold backing or without even thinking about adequate gold backing, started minting US dollars. Now, as a result of this, it created a lot of inflation issues and local economic pressure in the US. And therefore, apart from that, we also saw that increase in 1967, Britain also devalued its currency. 1968, there was a lot of capital outflow from France, due to which it caused a lot of political disturbances. 1969, France was forced to devalue its currency. Whenever a currency is devalued, we will see what is devaluation, which is official reduction in the value of your currency in terms of another currency. So when there is devaluation, it is going to discourage your imports and try to encourage exports, and then we will see Germany also had this problem. Therefore, when all other countries were facing this problem, local economic problems, US also had a terrible inflation problem. The system completely failed. The third factor that led to the evolution of international banking was the world oil shock of 1973. Have you heard of the Gulf War? When you read through the history, you will know what is Gulf War, okay, why it all cropped up, etc. And between whom it was fought. When we see OPEC countries, what is OPEC? How do you expand OPEC is? All the Arab countries were a member of OPEC. OPEC is an oil selling cartel, right? So, oil and petroleum exporting countries announced that what had happened was actually they said that we will not supply oil to those who supported Israel. They were in conflict with Egypt. Egypt or Israel ke beech mein they had a problem, and hence they said we will not supply oil. Instead of directly saying a no, the oil price, which was at 3.65 per barrel, went up to US dollar 80 per barrel. Right? Now, what had happened was at that time, over 33% of US world's oil was consumed by the USA, because US, what had happened was they never had this public transportation system. Everywhere they had to use a private transport, and they also had this segregation of residential area and commercial area. So even to buy a bread or a liter of milk, they had to drive 1 kilometer and then get. And therefore, what had happened, they started consuming a lot of oil, and they were the world's largest consumer. Therefore, already there was inflation which was troubling the US economy. There was this Bretton Woods system which had collapsed. And now what has happened is, due to the Gulf War, oil prices also quadrupled literally from 3.65, approximately $4 per barrel, to $80 per barrel was the increase. And therefore, this affected US a lot. US a lot more. And therefore, this crisis had increased the problem that US economy was facing. And the value of dollar also went up because people lost faith in the Bretton Woods system. Therefore, now this was also troubling the US economy. Now the next aspect is integration of world markets. Again, now what had happened when we said US dollar will not be a via media, it will be other currencies also we will be exchanging. We are going to have world markets integrated. We are going to unite all world markets, where we are going to say scarcity of one good will be exchanged for abundance of another good. Like for example, if I have a lot of wool, some other country has a lot of fruits, they will exchange it with mine, right? At an agreed price. Between us, it is going on. Now, US is no more involved as a via media. US can trade independently, but it is not through US that I am trading with other countries. Therefore, the world markets got integrated. There was a lot more freedom, and people started having banking transactions along, with the others also. And now, to emphasize on this earlier factor, globalization and liberalization of economies. Globalizing means integrating all the markets, integrating the geographical boundaries. Today also, if you need something from Singapore, you don't need to go to Singapore, or you don't need to get it from your cousin or relative who's in Singapore. You can get the same product at the same price here, right? And then when liberalization of trade rules was the next aspect. Liberalization of trade rules, what has happened is trade rules are relatively less stringent. And therefore, when trade rules are relatively less stringent, we are going to say, now globalization again has paved way, as I told you, and liberalization means all the trade rules were relaxed between countries so that we are able to bridge all the consumer markets and even have financial transactions across the globe. Today you can have access to capital from America. In case I'm not getting a loan sourced in India, I can always get it from some other country also. That facility is also available. Now, these were the factors that led to the evolution of international banking. So now we'll have a discussion on these things, and then factors that led to the evolution of international banking were majorly effects of World War II, and then the failure of Bretton Woods Conference, oil crisis of 1973, globalization and liberalization of markets, world markets, and integration of world markets were the factors that have majorly led to the evolution of international banking.